Picture this, right? A writer is just sitting at their computer. The screen is, like, totally blank.
Yeah, just staring at it.
Exactly. But the cursor is just blinking, like a
Yeah.
neon sign outside a dive bar or something.
Oh man, that is such a specific, awful feeling. Just totally paralyzed.
Right, because they're trying to figure out how to introduce themselves to you, the reader, when, well, the most defining chapter of their life is their absolute deepest shame. And then they finally just type, I am a former drunk driver.
It's such a jarring admission to read
It really is.
because we usually only hear about drunk driving through, statistics or courtroom jargon or those abstract highway warnings.
Exactly. But for today's deep dive into this raw, personal blog post, it's titled The Anatomy of a Bad Decision. Our mission is to look past all that. We want to examine the messy human psychology of how someone actually arrives at that terrible choice.
Yeah, like why a seemingly rational person makes such an irrational decision.
Right. And how they live with it afterward.
Ah,
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with, the mindset right before the key actually goes into the ignition.
well, to understand the crash itself, you really have to look at the psychological deception that, sets the stage. I mean, nobody wakes up planning to destroy a life.
Right.
It starts with this incredibly deceptive sense of control.
I do have to push back on that a little bit, though.
Yeah.
Because if you deliberately drive your car to a bar knowing you're going to drink,
Yeah.
aren't you at least partially planning for that exact risk?
Consciously, maybe before that first drink. But what's fascinating here is how alcohol acts as this master manipulator of the brain's risk assessment center.
Wow, a master manipulator.
Yeah, because once it's in your system, the decision to drive doesn't present as some grand defiance of the law. It presents as absolute banality.
Oh, I see.
The author actually highlights the quiet, everyday lies the impaired brain tells itself. Things like, oh, I've only had a few, or, it's less than 2 miles.
Ah, so the judgment center is compromised first. It's like, well, I was thinking about it like a computer virus.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right. You know those viruses designed to specifically target and disable your antivirus software before they do anything else?
Yes, exactly.
That's what alcohol does. It takes down your judgment long before your motor skills fail, which I guess gives you a false superhero complex behind the wheel.
Precisely. The logic center of your brain is essentially hijacked. You feel completely in control, and that illusion holds up perfectly right up until the very second it violently shatters.
And when it shatters, the author uses these visceral sensory details that just stick with you.
They really do.
The sound of crunching metal that supposedly never leaves your ears, and the flashing blue and red lights bouncing off a spiderwebbed windshield,
It's terrifying.
and then that cold, heavy click of handcuffs.
Yeah. And they survived, thankfully. I mean, no lives were lost. But they point out a massive misunderstanding most of us have about consequences. Well, we tend to think the worst case scenario of drunk driving is getting a DUI ticket or, facing $10,000 in court fines.
Which is awful, obviously, but the author redefines that entirely.
Totally.
The actual worst-case scenario isn't financial. It's looking into a camera for a police mugshot, knowing you just ruined or ended a life simply because you didn't want to leave your car in a parking lot.
Exactly. And surviving that rock bottom, sobering up in a holding cell into this brutal hangover of reality forces, a psychological pivot.
Right. The author stops making excuses and shifts into this space of radical accountability.
Yeah.
But how does somebody even begin to process that? Like, the source material talks about finding self-forgiveness, but how do you forgive yourself when society is, well, entirely justified in judging you for what you did?
I mean, that's the core struggle of radical accountability. It's not just about paying fines to the court.
Right.
It's about acknowledging the hidden emotional toll on your relationships and learning to navigate sober social settings where the pressure to drink is just immense.
So they aren't asking for pity then?
No, not at all. They're trying to figure out how to rebuild an ethical life while carrying the heavy weight of that public